Welcome to Rges Pre-Algebra. This is Lesson 28B, and today we're going to be covering sections 8.7 through 8.9. We are in the chapter on geometry, and we'll be talking about circles and angles of a circle. So first I want to read over your homework, 8.5 and 8.6. So go get your homework, put it on pause. If you haven't done your homework yet, of course, go away, get your homework done, and then come back. It's no use whatsoever in math to just read or glance through answers that I'm giving you if you haven't tried to do the work yourself. Okay, and you know that. So go get your homework, and we'll be ready to come for the answers here. Number 1 on 8.5, so our assignment was 1 through 12 all. We are asked to use a protractor and measure angles, and yeah, that's all for this one. And next one will be constructing angles. So here are my answers as you measure your angles on the book. Number 1 is 45 degrees. Number 2, 30 degrees. Number 3, 75 degrees. Next, 90 degrees. Next, 105 degrees. Number 6, 50 degrees. Number 7, 130 degrees. Next, 75 degrees. And next, 160 degrees. Measuring the angles of the geometric shapes. Number 1, down in order, angle ABC equals 60 degrees, angle BCA equals 30 degrees, angle CAB equals 90 degrees. And of course, if it's at perpendicular, you don't have to measure that if it's obvious to you. Actually, it's probably a good idea to measure it in the sense that our eyeballs cannot detect exactly perpendicular, but they're not tricking you at this stage. Okay, number 11. Angle ABC is 90 degrees. In fact, all the angles, all 4 of them, angle BCD, angle CDA, and angle DAB, in addition to ABC, are all 90 degrees. So that tells me that that's either a square or a rectangle. If I'm trusting my eyes, that is a square. Number 12, we have a trapezoid, and angle ABC is 70 degrees, angle BCD is 110 degrees, angle CDA and angle DAB are both 90 degrees. So I'm trusting you had no trouble with that. If you did, it's time to go back and learn to use that protractor again, and you missed the idea there. Okay, now the next section, 8.6, we were supposed to do 1 through 15 all, and the sharpening scales 1 through 19 all. Now, in the first part, you are using your protractor to complete the angle or draw it in. So I can't really show you those 1, 2, and 3. The only thing I can show you would be the approximate angle. Maybe that's about approximately 60. Maybe that's approximately 35, very, very rough here. And 120 would have to be greater than 90, so maybe that's approximately 100 degrees. So if yours look very off from that, you've done something wrong. For 4 through 15, again, they're on your own paper. You're drawing angles. I can't really check it for you, except let me say this. You want to use kind of your so anything in this range would be 90, okay? It's less than 90, right? And greater than 0. This would be 90. this would be 180, and this would be 270, okay? And if you went all the way around, which they don't. Okay, so the first one would be, number 4 would go straight up to here, so the angle would be a right angle. Number 5 would be over in this range. Number 6 would be over in this range from, like that, right? Number 7 would be, okay, so let's look at another one now. This would be 45, right? So if number 7's 40, so that would be like around there. 140, this would be 90. So this would be 135. So I'm showing you how to approximate it. So 140, number 8 would be about like that. 120 would be about like that. It's really like a third on that side. 25 would be about over here. 55, this is 45, remember this one right here. So 55 would be about over there. And so you can use these approximations. 80 would be there. 130, just a little bit less than that. And that's a good way to test it. There's your 45 right there. And 105 would be, if that's 90, 105 would be about there. Okay, so that's a good way to test it and think about it as you're writing them to kind of know that you're in the ballpark. Okay, so how did I say to test it? As you're thinking about drawing an angle, know that this is 45, this is 90, this is 45 plus 90, or 135, this is 180, and that should help you, okay, to get those approximations. Now, for sharpening skills. Number 1, true. It says, okay, I'm not even going to read these, okay. Let's say number 2, false. A straight angle contains 180 degrees. Number 3, false. Euclid wrote the elements. Number 4, that's false. A trapezoid's a 4-sided polygon. Number 5 is true. Number 6 is false. Perpendicular lines form right angles. Number 7, that's false. The sum of 2 angles is 90 degrees. They're called complementary angles. Number 8, true. Number 9, true. Number 10, true. Okay. So number 11, as you measure these angles to the nearest 5 degrees, for 11, you should have gotten 80 degrees. For 12, 50 degrees. For 13, 135 degrees. Constructing, again, it would be difficult for me, but I'll give you a little approximation. A 25 degrees is going to be a small angle like that. 100 degrees, a little over 90. So it'll be an angle kind of like that. And 70 degrees, somewhat under 90. So if 90 were, if we have our, line there, and that's 90, 70 would be maybe like that. Okay, so those are the approximate shapes. Now, to multiply or divide, this is review idea number 17. Should have 18 x squared, y squared. We'd multiply the numbers together, and then a y times a y is y squared. Okay, so for number 18, your answer should be 4y squared. You're dividing 12 by 3. That would be the 4. Y cubed on top and y underneath. You're either subtracting or thinking, canceling out in your head, 3 y's above and 1 below. You end up with y squared. Number 19, your answer should be 24 x squared y to the 4th. And that's it. And then we're going to start now with our new ideas, 8.7 through 8.9. This is a fairly brief section, so that'll be nice for you. Okay, we're talking about circles and terminology related to a circle. The center of the circle is always labeled with a capital letter, and we would call this circle A. Now, in a circle, every distance from the center to the outside edge, whether it's there or there, they're all going to be equal, right? And we call that line from the center to the outside edge the radius. Okay, so I'm going to get another color here. This is radius from the center to the outside, radius AB. And it is a line segment with endpoints A and B. This is radius AC, and the length of radius AB equals the length of radius AC. All the radii, which is the plural of radius, all the radii are equal in distance. Why? Because by definition, a circle has every line from the center to the outside edge of the circle is going to be equidistant. Okay, now the diameter, you probably know a lot of this, but a diameter goes from one endpoint on the circle to another endpoint on the circle, crossing through the center. It must meet, go straight through the center. Mine is off by a teeny little bit there. So we'll call that D and E. So diameter is DE. Now, it's probably obvious to you that I also have two radii there. Radius 1, having trouble with my writing utensil, hang on. And radius 2, radius 1 being DE and radius 2 being, radius 1 is DA and radius 2 is AE, and the diameter equals 2 times the radius. And so that should be clear just from the diagram there. Okay, so radius is always 1/2 the diameter. A chord is any line that has one endpoint and another endpoint on the circle. So this, that's supposed to be a straight line, sorry, XY is a chord. Now, a diameter is also a chord because DE, the line segment DE, has both the points on the outside of the circle also, okay, or the points on the circle, okay. This line here is technically the circle, not everything within it, okay. So a chord, XY, is an example of a chord. What else? An arc. Okay, let me go to a new circle here. Get another color. An arc is the part of the circle, and let's say this is BC, I would call that arc BC. Now, think of the circle as all the orange around the point A, right? So this is a part of a circle, and so we call that an arc. A semicircle, let's get another color here. Let's let's say my diameter goes straight through there. A semicircle would represent this arc, the arc that hits the diameter on both sides. Okay, so this would be, let's see, and if I called this D and this E, I would want to know, do I go that direction or that direction? So in an arc, I need one more point over here so that I know that arc DXE, so I'm telling you I'm going this direction from D to E. The arc DXE, if they cross through the endpoints of a diameter, then this is called a semicircle. I think that covers it. I think that's all the vocabulary you want to know about a circle. So most of that perhaps is new to you. If it isn't, go ahead and make sure you understand those terms. Now let's go to the next section, 8.8, using a compass. Now, if you do not have a compass at home, since we're kind of restricted to the house right now, compass kind of looks like this, right? Where you've got a pencil attached on one side, and that's the lead of the pencil sticking out there, and this is just a nice sharp metal point. Okay, and it's got kind of a scale, and this can move back and forth. And so on this scale, it would measure degrees. Or I'm sorry, it doesn't measure degrees. It measures, it measures in inches, or millimeters, or whatever. This is a scale, and so it's usually a radius scale. It can be a diameter scale, so you would have to notice on your compass. So what do you do to make a circle? Well, let's say I want to make a circle. I'm going to put a point on a piece of paper, and I'm going to take my compass. And if I want to make let's say it's a radius scale, because that's more common. Let's say I want to make a circle with a 1-inch radius. I would open this or close this enough so that the scale that I'm reading off here is going to be 1 inch. And then I would put the metal part on the center, and I would twirl it around with a 1-inch. So I'm twirling my pencil part around, and I've already set the scale so it goes around, and it should stay. My circle's not very great, but it should stay 1 inch all the way around. Now, it does take some practice to use a compass and to use it well. And when you're doing it a lot, you get very proficient at it. It's not it doesn't take a great deal of skill, but it takes a little bit of skill. So the first 10 times you'll try to draw a circle, you'll be a little frustrated. Depending on the quality of your compass, you might this might open up a little broad or close a little broad. You kind of got to learn to keep your hand off of that, and you're kind of twirling from this top part here. You want to twirl at a little angle, otherwise you get kind of skips with it. If you're not careful, the metal that's here at the center, the metal half, is going to get off the center or whatever. So it takes a little bit of skill. Like I said, it's a great idea if you own a compass at home, if you can put your hands on it, to practice this. There will be no way I can test anything on this section. You're just, or give you, answers. You're just being asked to draw a bunch of circles. Now, when they say draw and label with these radii, 2 inches, 1 inch, they're just giving you practice using this measurement here. This pulling the arm in and out, the pencil arm, so that you get the right size radius. If they ask you to do it with the diameter, of course you'll want to cut your diameter in half to use the radius. Then in the last part, that's a good practice, especially 11 through 14. They're asking you to draw some other things, giving you some review on those definitions from 8.7. So pay good attention to 11 through 14. The rest is just practice drawing those circles. So I think it's a great exercise, and if you do not have a compass handy, don't worry about it. Now let's move on to angles of a circle. Now, there are going to be two things you can do. You can either draw several angles or measure several angles. So if I've had a line here, and a line here, okay, I've got 3 angles I could measure. Angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3, going all the way that way. Okay. Angle 1, of course, is this and this, right? The fact that I'm drawing my arrow on one side or the other doesn't matter. Now, how would I measure that angle 1? Well, you've already done that when you've used a protractor, to recall. So let me illustrate my little protractor here. I'm going to take that center of the protractor. Well, kind of right there probably. Okay. And you're going to line that up with this. So you're kind of lining up your protractor here. This will be the 0 side, and I'll read over to on the scale to here. And I'll have the number of degrees. So you know how to do this. We've already done this. So you can measure angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3. And the only thing I can tell you in addition to that, so you'll just be measuring with your protractor, that angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 is going to equal what? How many degrees are in a circle? Well, we've already talked about that when we were talking about angles, but that's going to be 360 degrees. Just like when we're talking about angles, we've got 0, 90, 180, 270, and back around 360. Okay, so it's the same thing. If we go all the way around, that makes a circle. So it's 360 degrees. So that's a way to, once you've measured them, you're not going to be accurate to the degree. That would be difficult, challenging for you. But to, a few degrees, you should be close to 360 degrees when you sum them up. Now, the only other thing to do then would be, what if you are going to, by the way, these are called central angles. Okay. They're central angles because they go to the center of the circle, or they emanate from the center of the circle. Okay, so this, if I have a circle, there's my center. Any angle where both the rays are in the center, emanate from the center, and the A is the vertex, both of these rays, this creates a central angle right here. Okay, now, so we talked about measuring them. How would I draw them? That's the last idea. What if I said, okay, I want you for this circle, let's say I want you to draw let's see, one angle, thinking here, angle 1 is 140. Angle 2 is 90. Angle 3 is 130. So how would I create that picture? Well, you're just going to take a straight edge, or your protractor, draw a line anywhere, measure it out, right? So you get about 140, make your little mark, take your straight edge, and draw, just like we learned to draw angles before. That's angle 1. Okay. Angle 2, you'd put your straight edge here, you'd line up your protractor, measure it out, about 90 degrees, 90 degrees, and this would be angle 2. And then measure this to make sure it's close to 130 degrees. And so these are just kind of practical skills. I don't think you'll have any trouble with that. And in fact, it's going to be a little bit hard to test some of it, but we'll be able to give you some of those answers next time. Well, you have a wonderful day, and seek to be a blessing to others, and let the Lord bless you.